about music with Jake Touzel. Jake plays in the Jake Touzel band and is currently working on a project called Songs from the Garden.
The first thing I want to get into is songs in the garden.
Songs in the garden,
Songs in the garden, yeah. So I recently...
Oh, sorry, no, I screwed that up. It's called Songs from the Garden.
Songs from the Garden. Now, I recently, one has been going around, which is the Tyler David version. So that's the last one that was
that's
made.
kind of our flagship of the episodes.
Okay.
Because it was just Kirsten, the bass player in Jake Touzel band, runs a company called Woodbox Films. And so this is kind of like a side thing. We've just been having people over to our backyard in Canby Village, and we film a live kind of one-shot music video for them for a super affordable price.
Right. Well, it looks beautiful and it sounds amazing. So the production value is quite good in there.
Thank you so much.
So what's the goal? Are you guys just kind of toying with the idea of doing this now, or is there some sort of like long-term idea?
Yeah, I think for the time being it is like a present project, but I would love to see it grow into something else. I mean, for now we're just trying to continue to build the great music community here in Vancouver.
Right.
With giving people an outlet to perform. I know there's a lot of more expensive places that you can go to get this done. So it's, I think it works for people.
So are you actively out there like searching for people, or do you have people that are contacting you? Is a little bit of both?
Yeah. We're not searching. Most of the upcoming bookings we've had have just come to us, but that was kind of why we wanted to have Tyler do the first one, because he's an amazing performer and he kind of swoons everybody. So
he's kind of introducing himself as a new artist right now.
I mean, he does have a great EP that you have to bully him to get.
Right.
But once you get it, it'll change your life.
I want to talk to you about putting the Jake Touzel band together.
When I released my kind of debut EP in 2015, it was just titled Jake Touzel.
Right.
And I had a bunch of session guys behind me. But then as that grew, we were still playing the Jake Touzel material, but I had new kind of long-term members behind me. So I was like...
Is that something that came out in like 2015 or 2016?
That was right around Christmas 2015, that first EP.
And what was that EP called?
Bad Faith.
Okay. Was that with Matt Roach at
Matt Roach
Rain City?
Did produce and record some drums on that, but it was mostly with Jeff Zipp, who was at White Hart Studios at the time. It's all right attached to Greenhouse in the same area. Now he's running a little studio called The Recording Suite, which is awesome.
Cool. Well, that EP that you're talking about, those recordings sound great.
Awesome.
Yeah, they sound awesome. Yeah. That was your first one.
That was, I mean, the first official release where it went further than like MySpace or Bandcamp.
And what prompted you to think, okay, well, I'm going to go into the studio and record with session players, and compared to the other way where people will create bands and then go. I'm just fascinated with the different ways that people go about things.
It kind of happened all of a sudden. I ran into Jeff at a bar. I think it was the Met. And we hadn't seen each other in a few years, and we joked around and said, hey, let's make an album, and then we did it. But I didn't have a full-time band at the time, so he played a lot on the record, as well as some other people right in that Greenhouse, Rain City community.
I see. So you were kind of like coming up as a singer-songwriter, and then in your first foray of making these records with bands behind them. How did you go from that to your second record? Or what is after that first EP?
After that first EP, we released a live off the floor single called Closer, and that was filmed by Woodbox Films at a little space, I think it's on Franklin, called The Space.
Okay.
We went in there and shot a live music video and a one take of the recording and just released that.
I see. And then from there, you've released another single.
Yeah. So we recently, in August, released Dark White, which is a studio single that was recorded with Jeff Zipp as well.
Okay. Well, so this is awesome. So your discography right now is still just kind of starting. Yeah. So that's exciting. All of this could be potentially leading up to you doing a full-length record down the road.
Absolutely. Or they could be buried B-sides forever.
Right. A lot of bands are like, releasing singles, especially when they're in the early stages of kind of building an audience.
I think in the current music economy, like outside of your local scene, you kind of have to rely on the giants like Spotify and Apple Music in a lot of ways. Totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Anything to do with the fact that we were smoking weed?
No, a wonder drug.
Right. Now the Jake Touzel band is a band.
It's a band.
How did that actually come about to the point where you were able to go out and book shows? There seems to be a lot of competition between bands.
There is a lot of competition between bands, and it's an unfortunate thing because everybody should be building each other up and instead of tearing them down. But I think the best thing is to go out to shows.
To see shows.
To see shows. So many people are like, "Whoa, nobody wants to talk to me in the music scene," but they sit at home and don't go to any shows, right? It's the best way to meet people. And so often I find with local bands, people are keen to take on other projects, unless they're a drummer, because then they're in every band already.
Okay, so you actively go out to see shows, and are you making a point of meeting the people that are playing on stage at the show, or is it more like you're communicating with them a couple days later via Facebook or something?
Both. I mean, I don't like to ever crowd people at a show. I know it. After you get off the stage, you got to do your thing and sell merch and talk to people. But in most cases, I'd probably reach out to them after the fact and say, "Hey, great show." Give them the follows and likes on all the social media and stuff. And
from that, you've directly seen that yourself. You were able to book shows, and
absolutely,
and just from being part of the scene, in its most sincere way. Do you rap?
Do I rap?
Yeah. If you had the option of the gift of flight for 365 days, you could fly around like an eagle.
Okay.
Or for 2 weeks, you would have a portal in your house and you could go absolutely anywhere that you wanted to go and return at any time. What would you choose?
That is a good question.
Eagles, you see them flying around and they're built for it.
I'm going to go with the portal.
Thank you so much to Jake, and check out all of the links provided with this podcast.